Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Weapons. And this movie came out in 2025 and is directed by Zach Krieger. Not sure if I pronounced that correctly or not, but this is the same director as Barbarian. And I thought Barbarian was okay, I wasn't in love with it. But this movie I feel was a huge step up from Barbarian and had some aspects to it that I liked about Barbarian, but taking the strengths of that movie and just improving on it. And I feel as though this is just like a natural progression to someone's career and just like take your strengths and improve on those and focus on them. And that's ultimately what this movie is. It just focuses on its strengths and makes a really effective horror thriller film. And I wouldn't really say this movie is entirely a horror movie because for a good chunk of it, it's mostly just a silent drama, like dealing with the fact that all these kids went missing and no one knows where they are. And the movie looks pretty nice. It's very well shot, and the acting's pretty good in this film. And I really enjoyed Josh Brolin in this movie. I thought he did a great job. And Juliet Gardner, who I'm not really familiar with, she was good in this movie. And really, a lot of stuff in this movie worked for me, especially the first 90 minutes. And things don't really get revealed as to like how things are happening in the way that they are until we get to the last 30 minutes. And I was a bit worried about that because I was like, okay, this can fall apart really easy and get really, really goofy if we just show and over explain why things are happening in the way that they are. And you do get a reveal, and it's not as bad as it could be, but that was definitely the part of the movie I enjoyed the least. I'll say that much. And personally, to me, I liked it when things were vague and I didn't understand why things were happening in the way that they were. And this movie is also split up into segments, focusing on each character and their perspective as to what's going on. And I really enjoyed that choice. And early on in the movie, it's kind of about paranoia and about this teacher feeling as though she's being followed. That stuff I liked a lot, and the characters were very well defined. And I really like the tone of the movie. It's nice, consistent, and dark, and doesn't get ruined by, oh, let's put in a joke here to make you laugh and really make this light-hearted and kind of fun. It helped with the pacing. It never really turns into that, although there is a character that is kind of supposed to be funny, but the reason why he doesn't ruin the movie is because he's supposed to be that way, and he just feels like a natural part of this world because he's a stoner character. I put his name down, James. He was a pretty funny character. And there were some parts that were genuinely scary to me, and I found them to be very effective. And that's not something that can easily be done for me. And I remember the marketing for this movie and the trailer, the first trailer that I saw had some narration explaining just the premise. Kids went missing at 2:17 in the morning, and all of them did this together. And that's definitely how the movie opens, with some narration just explaining what happened, just like in the trailer. Just putting that out there for people who were curious. And it does help with the pacing, because I feel as though if there was like this big build up to that, I do feel as though that would have hurt to the overall experience of this movie. And it just helps you get right into the story, the main focus of the movie. And the music I didn't think was bad in this movie. It didn't really stick with me like some other movies that I love, but much better than a bunch of movies that have terrible music where it just drags it down. And from memory, the music didn't drag the movie down in my mind. I could rewatch the movie and feel differently about that, but from memory, that's how it went down. And to talk about some issues that I had with this movie, I was questioning as to why Justine, the main character in the beginning, was like going in public places and when she's being accused of being responsible for everything and feeling as though she's being followed and bad things happening to her. I would personally stay out of the public eye for a while, just so things like that would happen to a minimum for me. But who knows? I don't know what her life is like in this movie or why she feels as though she needs to do the things that she does. Even though her character is so well developed, there are just some tiny aspects that they don't fully explore, like what I just mentioned being an example. And there were some annoying dream sequences in this movie. I just didn't really like them at all. I hated the jump scares when it was sounds coming independently of the movie for like absolutely no reason. I was like, why are we doing this? That doesn't need to be there. And there are parts that could have been cut out of the movie that just didn't need to be there. And also, I do feel as though there are some plot holes towards the last 30 minutes that just were either unanswered or just didn't make any sense to me. And it's kind of inherent for you to ask these types of questions when you have a concept like this. I can't really get into it because I don't want to spoil it, but there are things that probably just come with a movie trying to do something like this that's just inherent to, dare we say, this subgenre? I don't know how to describe it, but there were just some questions I had that just left me scratching my head. I was like, okay, how does this work? Are you doing this or that? Or like, what are you doing? And there was one scene in this movie that was pretty goofy to me, and it's pretty much how the movie ended. And I was like, okay, that wasn't the best way to conclude this. It was just goofy the way it came across to me. Regardless of how one might say, oh, but that's how I would have wanted it to be that way. But for me personally, I just feel as though it betrayed the tone of the movie in a sense. And a couple other tiny things I want to mention that I just found to be kind of funny or just like made me think of other things. And not that it hurt this movie in any way, but I just wanted to mention them because I just found it to be interesting and or kind of funny. Like Josh Brolin's character, his name is Archer, and I was just thinking of the show Archer every time they said his name, which was kind of funny. And there were some moments in this movie, like just horror imagery that reminded me of Skinamarink, like the scary parts of Skinamarink, I'll say. Can't really get too deep into it because I don't want to spoil anything, and it is a little difficult for me to describe. But that was one thing that I was thinking about a little bit. And like I said earlier, I do think the first 90 minutes is great, and then the last 30 minutes kind of messes it up a little bit because some things are over-explained. And that was one of my fears while watching this movie was, okay, is the third act going to ruin this movie by over-explaining things? And I was half right. There were still effective moments for me. They didn't explain everything to where everything became goofy and it ruined the whole movie, but rather it was a bit too much in a few areas, but most of it, minimally 90 minutes, at least 100 minutes or so, definitely not 2 hours of it, was like, I was with it. I was really enjoying it. It's just a small portion of the movie that I feel could have been better. But overall, really enjoyed this movie. It's currently on HBO Max, so if you want to check it out, there's a way to do so, and I would definitely recommend that you check this movie out. And with all that being said, I'm going to give Weapons a 7 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos as always. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below your thought of Weapons and my social media links. They will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for The Running Man. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.